It's Thursday morning in Lagos. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. It's the morning after the federal government lifted the ban on Twitter, and Twitter is official again. Have you tweeted yet? I tried, but I don't know whether something wrong with that app on my phone, and I'm going to try it yet again. While appreciating all Nigerians, especially the vibrant youths, the federal government is saying that the gains made from this shared national sacrifice are immeasurable. It's amazing the way the federal government has put it. Shared national sacrifice. I mean, it's a sacrifice not to have been on Twitter for 7 months. Amazing. It says Twitter has now committed to establishing a legal entity in Nigeria during its first quarter of 2022. It will also comply with applicable tax obligations under Nigerian law and will act with a respectful acknowledgement of Nigerian laws, culture, and history. So join us on Twitter, guys. We're back on Twitter, but this morning we're turning our attention to something entirely different as we count down to the 2023 general election, particularly talking about the role that women must play and that they have been playing since 1999. We're told by INEC that only 13% of candidates in the 2019 general election were women, even though they made up to close to 50% of the registered voters. So we're still doing very poorly in that regard. As regards how many of our women get the chance to lead us, just about 7 out of 108 senators and 22 out of 360 members of the House of Representatives. Sometime last year we heard that members in the House were considering an additional 111 seats only reserved for women. And we'll be looking at some of these issues in the course of our conversation. We're joined from our Abuja studio, the APC National Woman Leader, Honorable Stella Okotete, who will be joining us in the course of this conversation. I have here with me in the studio Vice Chairman, Ikorodu Local Government, Princess Folashade Olabanjioba. Good morning, Princess. Happy New Year to you.
Good morning, sir. Happy New Year.
It's been a long time we had a conversation like this, at least sitting next to each other. I can't remember from the top of my head. How have you been?
Great.
I can tell.
Thank you.
You're not Vice Chairman. You were not Vice Chairman the last time I interviewed you.
Okay.
So
Vice
congratulations.
Chairman and National Deputy Chairman.
And National Deputy Chairman
of the association. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty much amazing. All right, so let's look at the figures now. We're seeing here that irrespective of the large spectrum of voters that are female year in, year out, the role that women play in the background in campaigning and lobbying, in, you know, I mean, everything that you can think of, they are still occupying very meager strategic positions. What do you think is responsible for this?
Wow, so many things. And I just want to say that at least we're talking. The narratives are changing for better. The numbers are not encouraging. But now it's all about engaging, participating, and actually making ourselves, like, you know, there's too much over the years where the cultural baggages and all that, the women were not allowed to actively participate. And I'm talking effective participation. It's one thing to say, yes, come on board. It's another thing to actually make an enabled ground to where we also can flourish. And so the numbers don't add up to what it is, but at least the guidelines, you know, all the parties are all now saying we're leaving certain quarter, come on board and all that. So the action is now. And I want to encourage more of us to, you know, take that bold step and, you know, come on board. It's not easy. Nobody says it's easy. But I want to say that, at least I talk for my party, you know, it couldn't get any better for us at this time.
So I understand the quota system. In Rwanda, for instance, over 50% earmarked for women. I think South Africa and other African countries are also doing very well in that regard. But in my opinion, it's like, you know, hands down to women. Think about it. If women are truly equal to men, shouldn't they take it rather than receiving it?
Take it.
Like, take it.
I wish it was
Throw
that
your
easy.
heart in the ring
You
and
can't give
slug
what,
it out.
You cannot give what you don't have. If we're not on the negotiating table in the first place, how are you going to be offered? My leader says pie is not served, a la carte. So you got to be in the space, be there, you know, like meritoriously, not just because you're a pretty face.
That's right.
Okay, so the more of us, the better the chances. So, because everybody knows that politics is a numbers game. And so, when you're there, you can actually vote to include so many more things, good stuff for us women, and create a better path for those coming after us. I want to say a big thank you for the people that have made it, you know, easier for some of us right now, but I think we need to do a lot more. We need to do a lot more.
So you heard the phrase women supporting women. How much of that is happening in the political sphere? Because some of the women I've also interviewed will tell you that, you know, even beyond politics, women haven't been that, you know, they haven't created that enabling environment to allow other women like them to thrive.
That's in the past. That's why I said the narratives are changing now. You see a lot more of us coming together, saying, you know, we're sisters, you know, one lifting another, and, you know, even to the way we raise our children, going into the schools, encouraging them that, you know what, we need to move away from that stereotyping and all the things that used to hold us down, that we are actually equipped for whatever, and even much better, we're naturally born to nurture, to make things. We juggle so much more. And so saying that it is a limited world for a woman is no longer acceptable. And I know the men also need to trust us more. Because back in the days, they would pitch us against one another just to say that, you know, you don't like one another. And really, but I think when we make a conscious effort to actually invest in more women, I know that definitely the numbers will grow phenomenally.
So let's talk about you. Some would say you are a model for what many women should do. We've talked about how challenging the environment is.
Yes.
So instead of saying you want to become president, you went to the grassroots and now you're vice chairman. I mean, it's a good place to start. But what has been your experience? You know, has there been any peculiar challenges just because you're a woman?
Of course. I talked about juggling so many worlds. Most women have to juggle the home front, work front and all that.
As if men don't have families too.
No, but you know, where we are from, and I'm talking African culture, the woman is really meant more to be closer, yes, to the family at home. So, but we're now saying it's an unlimited world. Don't limit yourself. For somebody like me, I encourage a lot of women, and I said, yes, just like life itself, life is life, politics is politics, but add value. The pure meaning of politics to me is adding value wherever you are. And so it's a daily encouragement. Nobody says it's easy. Most times you have to constantly do more than even the men sometimes in order to be heard, in order to be seen, in order to be given the same opportunity. You know, I'm not so much a women's lib thing, but I'm for equal opportunity, knowing that the numbers in the past, you know, was really nothing to write home about. So, and I'm saying that the more women, the better the country will be. Who feels it knows it, okay? So our needs obviously will be better, you know, heard and obviously put forward and all that if we have more of us in there. And most times when you have a woman at the helm of affairs, you talked about Rwanda, plus all the things that they went through, is one of the fastest, you know, growing economy now.
That's right.
Yeah, you know, so I think we need to emulate that. And in Nigeria, I think the men will still get the credit. That's the beauty. You're smiling because you know. That's the beauty part of it, because no matter where you're from, as a mother, you know, your husband, your father, whatever, still has that sense of, right, she's mine. Okay, so I really don't see why anybody won't want to go out of their way to really invest in the girl child or the female.
Do you think that the cultural family as we know it has to evolve to give women, you know, more independence to be able to do their thing? Because you talked about the fact that as a woman, you're expected to stay more, you know, with your children and serve your husband.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that challenge, you know, from a family perspective, but would you say that it would take a family that has evolved beyond all those sentiments to be able to free the woman to do her thing?
Yeah, you really need that support, I'll be honest with you, because even with my husband, sometimes he's still like, please, you know, because family is family, and most times everybody has one commitment. But I think I swing it around, and I tell them the only reason why I do what I do is really because of my family and my husband, you know. I know if he's listening, I'm going to get into trouble. But really, that is it, you know. You want to be sure that wherever you are representing, you're being a good role model to where, you know, your family will be proud and will be ready to take that sacrifice. Because it's not always easy, you know, especially sometimes the environment can be hostile. But it's hostile, the men and the women, you know, they're there. But they tend to feel that we're more fragile. And so can you really handle it? Yes, it's tough, but, you know, you got all that it takes, you know, and this too shall pass. It's
Absolutely.
one of my favorite words, you know, and no matter what you're going through, no matter the challenges, you can always ask for help. And when people believe, I think I'm blessed with my leaders and all that for even giving me the opportunity, you know. But I also want to say that they see the genuinity of my heart, that, and my husband also feels guilty because sometimes when we, but he'll say, I won't do Nigeria justice by keeping you at home. I think I need you out there. We need more of you. So that is important.
I think we need more men like
Bolaba. Yeah, support it. Like who?
Like Bolaba. we need more men that can say, I think that you are more needed outside
yes,
than in the kitchen
or
the other room, like they say it.
I don't know about that. You got to balance it. Don't put me in trouble.
Absolutely. So let us look at 2023 general elections. Is it the year for the woman? Is it, for instance, the year we're going to have the first female president or the first female governor, as it were, you know, legally voted for at the polls?
I don't know about
Are you
presidency.
that optimistic?
No, not presidency yet.
Okay.
But I know we will get there someday, okay, hopefully. But I think definitely it will be a more positive year for the women. You know, if you think about all the things that we are doing now to at least make sure that we get a better representation. And so I thank God for, you know, my party, the ruling party, who has also gone out of their way to help more women to actually be able to say that they are capable. You know, not just I want to contest or I want to participate. You must be effective. You must actually know that you've got the capacity to be able to act in such a role. And so, no pain, no gain. Nobody says it's going to be easy. But, you know, for someone like me that, I mean, after having lived abroad for so long, coming back to the grassroots, you must know the primary purpose why you are in it. For me, it was my community. It is my community. For me, it's all about home. And so, growing upward, it's like you must carry everybody along with you. Yes. So, and whatever, it's all about how can I give back? How can I pay back? How can I, you know, I'm blessed to have come from such a place. And so how do I bless my community, my state, my country? And that's what it is all about. So sometimes you've got to sacrifice certain comforts or whatever, but it's well worth it along the line.
You mentioned earlier that there are times when you you had to do more just because you're a woman. And I understand that in the sphere of leadership, that is largely dominated by men. But how is that playing out with your people and the community, the people that you lead? Do they accept you, or is there still that, you know, that African thing about a woman leader?
Well, there will always be women leaders. There has always been women leaders. And, but I think right now, my people are like adorable princess. I want to say that. I'm humbled, but you know, the trust for me is something I don't take for granted. And it actually every day encourages me to want to do more, because to whom much is given, much is expected. So the more I look around and I'm seeing all the love and all that, the more I want to be like, let's go. You know, we can do this. And really, the good job of any good government is improving the quality of lives of people around you. And you know, knowing that, you know, you want to make sure that life is about choices and consequences. Making your community the place of choice for people to live and do business in is a task for all of us. It's not something that one person can do. It's something that, you know, collectively we almost work towards. You know, it's one good thing that we enjoy about Lagos State of Excellence, where I tell everybody, Lagos leads, other states follows. But the leadership, okay, how are you contributing to that, your part of that citizenship is what I think that the women...
While you're talking about Lagos, something funny came to mind.
Okay.
We had a caller, you know, some days ago who was talking about Lagos, and they said when you enter every other state in Nigeria, they tell you, welcome to this, welcome to that. I said, but when you enter Lagos, they say, this is Lagos. This is Lagos.
Your Lagos, my Lagos, this our Lagos. I mean, it's so proudly Lagosian.
So when we talk about quota system, I like us to talk about your party, the APC. If you're comfortable with the quota system that is available for women, and if you and your other female colleagues are yearning for more, perhaps a good place to start is, let's give us a female vice president.
Awesome. That'd be
Wouldn't
nice.
that be fantastic?
That'd be nice. But you know, it's not only what one person can do. That's still what I'm saying. It is a numbers game. Now, investing in more women that can qualify for that position, it's important. And I'm knowing that my party, there are no limitations to what a woman can do. But obviously, for you to be accepted or voted for or chosen as a party candidate for whatever level goes beyond just being a female. So the narrative now is equip yourself, be the best of you. I mean, it's very competitive, okay? So you reduce the job by making yourself the best candidate out there, marketable and sellable. If you focus each day to be the best at that, I know sooner and very soon we will get there.
And that takes us completely away from politics to ask the question of how many women billionaires do we have in Nigeria? How many frontline women do we have? I mean, last year was the year for the women in the banking sector. Maybe you need to start thinking of poaching, you know, all those successful people from different areas of life into politics.
Well, you know, sometimes not everybody wants to get their hands dirty. There's still... So
you agree that politics
No, that is what we are made to believe. But it is not what it is. For me, it's just relevance. And, you know, once they say that, nobody wants to touch it. And so rebranding and letting everybody know that, you know, all this is bad, is dirty, is this, they're wicked, whatever. You know, we are a people. You know, the government is government of the people, by the people. So when you don't participate, you're also limiting what you can contribute to the citizenship of this great country. So somebody over there is watering some beautiful grass that you're there admiring. So what are your own grass? Be the best wherever you are, to where you also will be the envy of neighbors or whatever. So it is the message now. So now you're talking about bringing billionaires. I don't know how many billionaires we've got, but it's not yet. The money is important because you need it for logistics and mobilization and all that, but not just money, okay? True leadership is in servant leadership, okay? It's in how many people you can put smiles on their face. And when you really look at how the leaders emerge, it is because they have been consistent over the years. For me, my leader, I'll be like, in fact, second to none, because over the years, I see the value, the people, everybody he has touched along the lines. And so, you have leader of leaders. So in every level, every cadre, there are different, but at whatever level and whoever you're seeing as your role model, make sure it's the best Nigerian that you proudly can think of as well and want to be.
You mentioned earlier that politics is not as dirty as we think.
Yes.
That is what, but between you and I, is it possible as a woman to dabble into politics and not compromise on, anything that you held to be true before becoming a politician?
Yes. And I want to go back to that compromising. One thing my husband used to say is that anything you cannot walk away from, you forever are in bondage or a slave to it. If you really believe in it, you work it. But compromising is not something that will even be a choice because you already have a focus of where you're going. And so not all fights are good fights, not all, so you must always see the bigger picture. It's not only about your interests, it's not only about you. You don't like me, you like me, awesome. But know that Nigeria bounds both of us together, and because of that, let's work it. Let's tolerate one another, persevere and hold up and say, you know what, it's all about this great country and how I want to make it one of the best countries in the world.
We've heard arguments that what we see today in political leadership is a reflection of the society. For instance, during COVID, some children did not return to school. The insurgency in the north is affecting, the girl child. And then some are saying, if we don't get equal number of girls in school as the boys, we're never going to have equal number of girls in politics, because what it meant is that forever, men are going to remain in majority in the area of, significance and relevance. Is that a concern that should be some sort of a national emergency for women folk who are interested in getting more women in leadership?
Very, very much so. But you know what? And I think that's why I said every politics is local. What is of interest in community A might not be the priority in community B. And so when you talked about those communities in the northern part of the country where there's so much of those stuff, yes, it's really an emergency. Any part, insecurity is an emergency. Peace must be sought by all, at all levels. And seeking peace is priceless. But, in some parts of the South now, you now have even the girl child, the numbers, and doing awesomely well on the, 3 point, 4 point, whatever.
Right.
And then you now see the boy child only wanting money, instant gratification, not even having time to actually stay. And then I'm changing that and I'm saying we must balance it, the boy and the girl. Who are those boys that are going to marry your professors as the girls, okay, and all that? So both must be carried along and making sure that one is not just a servant to the other. I mean, for people like me, as the first child, I was meant to labor for my siblings, okay? Be their mom, do my homework, do everything. And my little brother would sit down and say, go make food for me. Now, it's like, no, you got to know how to do it. And I know, and I very soon, my daughter-in-laws will pray that they have me as their mother-in-law, because I raised my boys to also not think some jobs are just meant for the boys and some are meant for the girls and you lord over them. No. But help me to help you.
You're saying there's a way we can culturally whip the girl child into a subservient mindset.
Yes.
So I've heard some women say Lagos is the model for which the Asiwaju presidency is valid. You know, for them, they have the opinion that we've had a model where successive governments have, you know, had deputy governors who are women. Do you agree that his intent to run is a good thing for the women folk?
Awesome. I mean, we've been on this for years, okay? Our national leader, His Excellency Dr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a leader like no other, okay? Leader of leaders. And so when you talk about the women, he's somebody that also believes in us and gives us also a good opportunity to be at our best. You know, he's the most detribalized leader that I can talk about. And when you say Lagos leads, others follows, I think starts with him as well, with the blueprints and the foundations that he's laid out for us. But I won't say that he's limited to just Lagos, because in every part of the country there is still a part of Ashaju. In the north, I want to talk about east, south, whichever part. He's one person that does not see Nigeria just as either Yoruba or Hausa or Igbo, the most detribalized. And then when you talk about capacity and believing in this country, in the past 2 decades that I know I've been around here, I was part of a movement for the Swagger theme, and we went around the Southwest, over 300 and something, you know, traditional, you know, rulers and all that, you know, and almost 80% said they couldn't have enjoyed the relative peace or wherever they are at some point without the support of our national leader. For me, phenomenal, okay? And so when you have a leader like that, yes, you can shout it out. It's a project loud for me to the world, because, but I thank God for democracy. Our party is like, come on, if you believe you can do it, let's go. But you know what, at the end of the day, you will know if you have the capacity to be able to actually go through with it. But when you talk about somebody, human capacity development across board in, you know, trying to build everybody up, and, you know, I haven't seen any match, honestly. And so for somebody who has planned that one of his greatest wish is to do Nigeria proud, that #1 citizen, he has earned it over the years. But at so many points when he felt, okay, maybe somebody else can do this, he has thrown everything on one side and supported. And, you know, he has shown so many ways that definitely, you know, he believes in this country. And it's not just only because of his self-interest, because he has, you know, saying something is a talk and do. Saying something and doing something makes it all the while.
So we've had successive elections since 1999,
Yes.
Unbroken democratic rule for over 20 years now.
Yes.
What exactly do you think makes the forthcoming general election different, and what role do you see it play in Nigeria's political history?
Well, just like you said, we have had relatively peaceful transition. Right now, there's a lot of anxiety, okay? And so in that anxiety, we want to be sure that we have quality leadership, somebody that we know, tested and trusted, that over the years got her back as a country. And obviously, across board, internationally, that will also earn us that space where we know that even the international community will come to respect us and know that, yes, Nigeria, it's one of the countries to be, you know, whenever they talk about great nations of the world, I want to believe that we will be at that. Also, you know, so many people are not understanding the importance of choosing right. The choices that we make is a make or break. And we must make sure we put our best foot out, especially 2023.
So your party has been, in power for, I think this is the 8th year since 2015.
It's not yet 8 years.
Okay, almost 8 years. And it's the first time an opposition party will be winning an election in 2015.
Yes.
Your party came on the wings of what appears to be a semblance of popularity on the back of what was perceived to be failure of the outgoing administration at the time. I remember Mr. President talking about the issue of security, economy, and fighting corruption. In a recent televised interview, he was asking the journalist that, he was telling them that he would expect Nigerians to judge him based on what the situation was and now.
What is?
I think that opinions are divided. What is your own thought about how well your party has performed along this 3 agenda in the past 8 years?
Well, I want to say that promises made, promises kept. Even the insecurity, I want to believe that at that time we had, at least let's talk local governments, 13, 14 local governments where we couldn't really say we're part of Nigeria because we had some of the groups having their flags practically in those local governments. So right now, that is not the situation. It's still 1 or 2 concerns here and there when you talk about insecurity, but I want to say that the president has, given us, the stability and all that for us to be where we are. We're not saying it is the best, but so many things came on us as well that we weren't prepared for. Talk about COVID-19, life is life, changes and all that, but the way it's been managed, Lagos State, I still will talk about Lagos State. The crisis and all that, we had our governor head down. And that's why I would want to believe that the situation could have been worse. But thank God we were there to, reduce.
So insecurity out of 100, what would you give the president in the past 8 years? You weren't expecting that.
I wasn't, but it's difficult to say some percentage, but I still would give him A+ for.
Would you have given him
for efforts, the great efforts and all the things that and when you talk about that, it's very difficult for you to say 1%, 2%, because you're talking of something that is still on. His presidency is not yet over, so I wouldn't want to. That's why I said but I would want to say that he has done relatively well.
Would you have given a pass mark if you were not a member of the APC?
Yeah.
As a Nigerian?
I just told you the situation where we were. And I also expressed great concern as a mother to so many things. But I'm also saying that it is not one person's job. We are all Nigerians. We are all involved here. We need to support and make sure, stop the blame game and condemning and whatever. Let us all support the government and make sure, it's funny you said this because I was talking with some of my women that, and they were trying to push the blame just like this on everything is government and all that. And I asked some of them, your son, this age, what is he doing? What have you, how long? Do you know what he does? Do you know this, and all that, And some of them were blank. And I'm like, there it is, okay? If you raise your child, knowing that the society is going to be dependent on that child when they go outside, okay? You would be proud of that child, whatever they do, because all the people that you believe are the bad guys or whatever also have mothers, also have fathers. Okay, so don't be a missing in action mother or missing in action father. You know, back then we had the communal settings, raising the children. We dropped the balls on the value system. You can't give what you don't have. I could never look at my parents really in the eyes before they die and talk down on them or whatever. Some things I can't bring home. They will ask me where I got it from, you know, all those things. And then when the children now come back and do bads and all these gang members and ritualists and all that, you know, because of the peer pressure and other, everything we put on the government.
I get your point, Princess, but you also agree with me that there's a thin line between blame game and taking responsibility.
We are all responsible.
So everything rises and falls on leadership.
Yes.
I mean, just recently, I think it was the European Union or the UN who was reacting to the killings in Zamfara. I think somebody has to take responsibility for that, because it is somebody's job to keep Nigerians safe.
Yes.
And I think that part of quality leadership is being able to measure what you have done vis-a-vis what we experience as a people. So I'd like us to take this a bit further and talk about how do you expect the citizenry, you know, to react to whoever is in power when things are not going their way. For instance, Nigerians will tell you that the economy is terrible, that they have lost their purchasing power. They will tell you that they are not safe. They will tell you that in most places the roads are bad. They cannot afford what they used to afford. How do we expect them to, you know, show support or react to the government in power in that regard?
You know, where we are today, for me, I want to believe, is all of us. Let me be honest with you. Yeah. We had so many days of, you know, just not thinking of saving. We were spent, you know, like any little thing, you know, we were not producing enough. We were not, you know, we had this big taste. Everybody wanted to import. Even at some point, we had even toothpicks being imported into Nigeria. And so we need to go back to all those our needs and wants, prioritize them, think Nigeria. That hashtag made in Nigeria and proudly Nigeria, we need to also take it in, consume what we can produce, not always, you know. So when you talk about the difference between what we're producing and having to spend so much money looking for dollars and all that to import those things, you know, I mean, it's tough, but all of us first condemn and think, yes, this problem, only the government, you know, but it starts with all our attitudes, knowing that the altitude that one gets to starts with your attitude. Attitude that, you know, we can produce, we can go back, you know, do our farming, and, you know, I talked about human capacity development. Our numbers is one of our greatest assets. Look, let's talk about India with all the technology and all that, you know. If we can really go back and educational-wise, that's what the state is doing now, equipping our youths, saying that it's not just being youthful, it's usefulness youths, okay? And making sure that every youth comes to table with something that they are proud, not just because they've got a certificate. Learn a skill, develop yourself. Your potentials will make way for you. It will make things a lot easier.
Mazi Okora was called in from Abia State in Arochukwu. Mazi, we're talking about women participation in politics ahead 2023. What are your thoughts?
Good morning, you see, the women, they have what you call, they have the voting powers. But the question is, this issue of pulling down syndrome among the women folk, that is what is attacking our women. Now you ask yourself, if the women have grouped themselves as a formidable forces, which I know, and bring and say that they must vote for this particular woman, and literally the presidency or governorship or any seat in the presidency, it's very, very welcome. But they are not doing it. Now let me give you an example. Look at what's happening in Egypt. And which other one of these African countries. When I saw the screen, that's Iraq. Iraq. Recently they conducted election. Do you know the women's participation? So, what I said, half of the people inside that house, National Assembly in Iraq, they are all women. I was so impressed. I said, what? Can this happen in Nigeria? What are the women folk doing? Half of the people, check your record. That was on the that's the set of BBC's Saturday or Sunday program. Check, go, you see it. Now you ask yourself, can't our women form that type of group and make sure that at least a woman must be at least make it compulsory, a deputy governor of a state, if they don't want, the men don't want to keep them governors, it will help us. Because if women and men are dragging all these things now, that's equal, although it will not be equal, should at least men hire men, 2 women, 1 over 6. It will help us. But the situation whereby the women become the correct wrapper, correct sugar, Oporoko and the rest, and go back home and sit and say, thank you. That is not, it's not healthy.
All right, Mazi.
Women, please sit up this time around and make sure you move for me. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mazi, for your contribution from Abia State. He's of opinion that he thinks that women are not pulling their weight enough to, demand what they want. Do you agree with him?
I wish we have more men believing in women like this. And I know that if we have more, then we're very, very, very much on good tracks in the numbers that we need. But it is what it is. And I know that definitely 2023, we will see more.
We expect things to get better. Yeah, let's talk about politics for a bit. So, Mr. President refused to give assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill late last year. We need an upgraded version of that document to be able to run a better election. What are your thoughts about, the clause on direct primaries in that amendment bill?
Well, just like I said, it depends on the side that you're looking at it. The president also must have felt that there were more things that needed to be embedded in that document before, he could sign it. And I want to believe that he has the interest of our great country.
What works for you? Direct, indirect, or consensus arrangement?
Direct, indirect, as long as you make yourself the best candidate out there, either way.
But that has been the challenge with our politics. We don't have the best of us leaders, and it's a function of the way and manner the political parties.
You said we don't?
Yes, we don't.
That might be your own perception.
No, but that's the truth, in the sense that look at the trajectory of our development since 1999. I don't think this is the best this country can offer, and there's no way you can separate the quality of leadership from the experiences of the people. If we have better people lead us, there are people who have led us in this country. I mean, there are people leading us in this country without a formal education. I mean, you can't tell me that somebody who didn't go to school, or someone who has gone to school, or someone who didn't go to school will outperform someone who has gone to school. I mean,
where I tend to differ from that is that when you complain about something not being the best, can you please volunteer and fill in the blanks?
It is the same. It is the exact point I'm making, Princess, that when you look at the pool of aspirants within the political party, because as we speak now, there are no independent candidates.
Yeah.
So you still have to go through the political party system. In fact, we are told that the only reason President Buhari could have emerged was because there was a direct primary in 2015.
No, that was not true.
And that if it was a consensus
that was a marriage of 3.5 parties.
Exactly the point I'm making.
Coming together, leaving whatever. I mean, every party wants to roll. Every party. So the brains coming together. I mean, for me, that was a standing ovation move, because for each party to have said, come on, mission to rescue Nigeria is now. Let's work together and let's make this happen. Let's ignore whatever we feel is our immediate gains. Let's put Nigeria first, above it all. And I think that was why we have our president now. And so saying that is just because of direct or indirect, no, it was a purpose. A purpose was, let's rescue Nigeria. If not, we were not sure we were going to have a country.
So I'm going to ask you, a direct question. Since we're talking about direct primary, are you saying that our parties, your political party as it is now, has the finest system of producing candidates? Does it have a track record of, producing the best candidates?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What was I expecting before?
I know, so better than that. Yes.
However, I'd like us to also, just quickly talk about, you talked about the marriage that brought the president in 2015, the Action Congress of Nigeria, CPC, and, I think there was another party, APGA, the APC. Do you think that that marriage still exists for your party, given the difficulty that we are seeing in conducting a national convention?
I think it's still there. In marriage, what is important is we are families. Because we are family does not mean that we will not have our teething problems or, mishaps, misunderstandings here and there. But I know that at the end of the day, we will still come out of this, beautifully at the end of the day. Because now people are talking, oh, there's no way they can survive this. Even before the marriage, so many Nigerians thought it was impossible. But over the years, we have proven that whatever the difference is, will always rise above whatever storm. And these two, like any other sharpers, we will have,
The track record for pre-election here is
Yes.
that people move along different lines. Last year we saw two governors, jump shift from the PDP to the APC. Femi Fani Kayode, who was notorious for always attacking your party, is now
found us to be the best at the end of the day.
Is now a member of your party.
Yes.
It really amazes me how politicians move that fast. But I'm just saying that in a pre-election year, how optimistic are you that we're not going to see a repetition of what has always been the norm, where people move along different political lines in favor of what is their interest in election year?
Well, politics is about interest. Alignments and interest. That's what it is about. But at the end of the day, aligning with the best is what you're going to have, in the leadership at the end of the day. So for me, I want to believe today our party is the party of choice. And I say thank you to Nigerians for still believing in us and, knowing that definitely we will make sure that we prioritize the people first in all that we that's what the project is all about. The quality of lives of our great citizenship in this country being best in the world.
Absolutely. So you're optimistic that things will get better in 2023 as regards gender participation in your party. But are you seeing signs already in that regard? Because, I've seen some posters, for your national convention. I've seen...
Yeah, we've got that coming up next week.
Yes, I've seen...
And so it's family time, talk time, encouraging and charging one another.
What's the
time is now.
What's the women conference supposed to talk about?
Just what we've been talking about. Why it is important that we must occupy that space. Why it is important that we must keep the peace and the transition peaceful. Knowing that the women, we are the heartbeat of the nation, really, really, really. And so it will be like charge time for us to be the best, hold our post, occupy our space, and encourage one another, hold each other in sisterhood, that we are what Nigeria needs at this time.
Princess Folashade Olabanjioba, Vice Chairman, Ikorodu Local Government Area in Lagos. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you, sir.
This morning, and we're glad you came. We wish you all the best in your party.
Thank you.
In the coming election. That's our show today. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing, with another exciting one. I am Nifemi Ogunsoye. Good morning.